These are the top 5 dinos most impacted by the changes in the most recent update. This list includes dinos that have fallen from glory, and dinos that are on the rise, and what these changes will mean for their playstyles and place in the meta. Anyhow, here are the top 5 most impacted dinos on my list. Coming in at number 5, we have Lamb. Now, I'm only putting Lamb at number 5 because the Lamb TLC has been widely covered and talked about so far, and it seems many people know about it. Otherwise, it would easily take the number 1 spot because so much has changed. We won't be going into depth on the rework today, but know its entire kit has changed to provide a more combat support or healer role. Lamb got faster, but less bulky, and it can still hit decently hard, so it's better at hit and run style gameplay rather than intense brawling or tanking in a fight. At number 4, we have Kentrosaurus. Many of you will be happy to know that Kent finally got some serious nerfs during this patch. He got a subspecies nerf, a tail attack bleed damage reduction, reduced max health, reduced health recovery rate so it can't heal as fast, and, most impactful of all, a large turn radius nerf so it turns much wider than before. I'm sad to see my Kent take such a hard hit, but they were definitely too formidable of an opponent before this patch, and they can still be tough to deal with even after all of these nerfs. Overall, though, Kentro is much less powerful than it previously was. Coming in at number 3, we have Dasp. Dasp got some changes that actually make it much stronger than it was pre-update. While its default bite took a slight damage nerf, the cooldown was shortened, meaning you can attack much faster and also more consistently because the cooldowns between the default bite and other bites Dasp has were also unlinked. This means Dasp has a much higher chance of defending itself in a fight against smaller swarms of creatures, and it now has a much higher damage per second output overall. Expect to see an uprise in Dasp players going forward, and remember to watch out for that sneaky bone break. At number 2, we have a tie between dinos like Pycno, Steer, Eo, Alberta, Packy, etc. Basically any dino that has charge. While some of these dinos received buffs and others received nerfs, they all have one thing in common: big changes to charge mechanics. Charge no longer deals its maximum damage instantly. This was actually never intended. It now does more damage the longer the distance traveled during the charge ability. This impacts all dinos with a charge pretty heavily, as many players relied on a quote tap charge hit and run playstyle to excel in combat. This involved tapping charge at point blank range for max damage, then moving away and evading attacks until charge was ready again, and then repeating. Or, in the case of Eo, you would enter a fight against another Apex, like a Rex, with a tap charge to gain some advantage in the ensuing battle. Now, you will need to travel some distance to get value out of charge, which will not only make it easier for the opponent to dodge, but will also cost the user more stamina, as you'll have to travel further under its duration to achieve higher damage. I want to cover an honorable mention before we get to number 1, which is Hats. Hats got some buffs, nerfs, and new abilities, but the most impactful of these new changes was the nerfs to its flight stamina. While flying, Hats now drain stamina at a noticeably faster rate, which means you'll have to be a bit more careful managing stamina in flying engagements, and also know that you won't be able to get as far if you need a quick escape. Also of note, Hats lost its ability to peck while flying, which means no more pesky hovering Hats pecking into pools of water mid-air. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Iggy. Iguanodon was sadly hit with some major nerfs. I haven't played any Iggy since the update, but I don't have to in order to tell you these changes make it drastically worse. It lost a whopping 1,000 combat weight, now putting it on par with Aloe, and it lost 100 max health. In my opinion, Iggy was in a pretty decent spot, all things considered, before these nerfs. Now, I imagine, it won't see much play on officials at all. There is a silver lining out there for you Iggy mains somewhere down the line, though. There's actually a planned TLC for Iggy on the way, but they haven't announced a release window yet to my knowledge. So there you have it, my take on the top 5 dinos most impacted by the recent update. As always, I hope you found all this helpful, and even if you already knew some of it, I hope you learned something new. Anyhow, I've been your host Conwer, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.